This Tuesday isn't just another day in the search for a new head coach. The Ravens are back at the table with a name that knows his franchise inside and out. Someone who's lived in that locker room, worn that uniform, and now wants to prove he can run the whole operation. When a second interview happens, it's never random. Something clearly stood out, and that changes the weight of this decision in a big way. What's on the line now goes far beyond stats or standard interview talk. This is about identity, fixing recent mistakes, and the immediate future of a team that has to respond fast. Every detail of this meeting helps tell us whether Baltimore is leaning toward a bold move or playing it safe. Stick around to the end, because this Tuesday could mean a lot more than it seems at first glance. When a team brings the same coach back for a second interview, it's a clear signal. The Ravens aren't just getting to know candidates anymore. They're comparing, testing, and trying to feel out who can truly take over that locker room. Anthony Weaver getting another sit-down shows Baltimore is taking him seriously in a process that's now entering its most critical stage. This next conversation isn't about resumes or surface-level numbers. It's about vision, leadership, and, most importantly, whether someone can take a roster that's ready to compete and get more out of it than it has so far. The Ravens know that getting this hire wrong could waste prime years of Lamar Jackson's career. By scheduling the second interview, the internal message is loud and clear. Weaver isn't just another name on the list. He made it past the first cut, and now he has to show there's something extra, something that separates him from everyone else who sat in that same chair. This is where a lot of candidates fall off, and this interest didn't come out of nowhere. There's a very specific reason Baltimore is looking at Weaver more closely than others, and it starts with the history he already has inside the organization. Something that carries real weight in a decision like this. Anthony Weaver isn't walking into Baltimore as an outsider trying to figure out what this franchise is about. He was drafted by the Ravens, wore this uniform for 4 seasons, and lived through one of the most defining eras in team history. That means he understands exactly what this organization values and the kind of football it expects on the field. More than just playing, Weaver shared a locker room with the players who shaped the Ravens' identity. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs weren't just stars. They were the standard, symbols of an aggressive, physical, relentless mindset. Weaver saw that culture up close, learned how it works, and knows how it enforced internally. On top of that, he returned years later as an assistant from 2021 to 2023. So he doesn't just know the glory days. He understands a modern version of the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson as the face of the franchise and new demands in today's NFL. That blend of past and present is something very few candidates can offer. But knowing the building doesn't guarantee the job. The Ravens know that. The real challenge now is figuring out whether Weaver can turn that background into something bigger, because the next head coach's job goes far beyond respecting history. It requires immediate progress. Baltimore has reached a delicate point. The core of the roster is still strong, the quarterback is elite, but the results haven't matched the potential. Missing the playoffs and wasting postseason chances made one thing clear. Something has to change, and fast. There's no room left for excessive patience. At the same time, the Ravens don't want to become something completely different. Defense has always been hard of this franchise, and Steve Bisciotti alongside Eric DeCosta know that losing that identity would be a major mistake. The next coach has to modernize the team without stripping away what has always defined Baltimore. That balance is hard to find. It's not enough to be a great schemer or a strong motivator. You have to know how to unlock more from a group that should already be delivering better results. This is where a lot of candidates talk a good game, but very few truly convince. And that's exactly where Weaver's name starts getting scrutinized the most. Because beyond his history with the team, there's one unavoidable question. What has he actually shown recently while running an NFL defense?
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video. But before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Anthony Weaver's run as a Dolphins defensive coordinator sends mixed signals. When it comes to yards allowed, Miami's defense ranked among the best in the league. even while dealing with an unstable offense due to Tua Tagovailoa's concussion issues. That points to strong organization and the ability to adapt under tough circumstances. But when you look at points allowed, the picture changes. The defense finished near the bottom of the league in that category, and that matters a lot when you're talking about leading an entire team. For many, those numbers raise concerns about in-game adjustments and the ability to close out big moments. Some point to a declining roster and talent drop-off in Miami as major factors. That argument helps explain why Weaver continues to land serious interviews, including another scheduled meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Around the league, he's clearly not viewed as a throwaway candidate. Still, Baltimore has to decide whether those struggles were situational or signs of real limitations. Because handing some of the keys to an entire franchise is a massive leap, especially when that person would be a first-time head coach. There's skepticism, and that's only natural. Whenever a coach without head coaching experience gains traction, doubts follow. But recent NFL history has shown that first-time hires can hit big, as Mike Macdonald and Ben Johnson have proven. The Ravens know that better than most. This second interview is where everything gets real. It's when the conversation moves past surface-level ideas and into hard decisions, actual plans, leadership approach, and how to manage a locker room full of stars and expectations. At this stage, it's no longer about potential. It's about readiness. Weaver now has to show he's more than someone who knows the culture or had solid stretches as a coordinator. He has to prove he has the vision to lead, fix long-standing issues, and put the Ravens back on track in the AFC. And as this evaluation continues, one thing is certain. This decision will directly shape Lamar Jackson's future and the direction of the franchise for years to come. That's why every detail matters, and why this interview feels so pivotal. The Ravens are at one of those moments that define eras. A second interview with Anthony Weaver shows the franchise is pushing this process to the limit, carefully weighing the past, the present, and the future. This isn't just about picking a coach. It's about deciding what identity will lead the team forward and how to truly capitalize on Lamar Jackson's prime before more chances slip away. Weaver represents the intersection of history and the need for change. He understands a culture, respects the weight of his uniform, and at the same time carries real questions about how far he can go as the guy in charge. That tension between belief and doubt is exactly what makes this decision so delicate and so crucial for Baltimore's place in the AFC. Now I want to hear from you. Would you take the chance on Anthony Weaver as the Ravens' next head coach? Or do you think the team needs a different profile to lead this next phase? Drop your take in the comments, because this conversation is far from over.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.